Welcome to the somatics and yoga class on Wednesdays. And I am really excited to practice with you today. You will need a yoga mat and maybe 2 blocks if you have them handy. So do grab those items, and we'll actually start with the mat off to the side. So grab your mat, but have it off to the side and we'll roll it out in a little while. And I'm going to switch my camera angle and go to my mat. So I'll go to my mat and you, well, go to a space on your floor. I just said don't use your mat right now. Go to a space on your floor, your mat off to the side, and I'm going to do the same. Right. So from this space on the floor, I invite you to take any type of seating position that you would like. So with this seated position, it's typical to sit cross-legged or with your legs tucked back. It could even be asymmetrical. So we're just coming into some sort of seated position. Your legs could be out in front. They could be in a big V. Just maybe be curious about, what feels good today? And allow your arms to fall wherever they naturally do. Again, kind of taking us outside of like, this is how I'm supposed to do the thing, and instead saying, this is how I feel like I want to try it today. Just being curious about that. You can either soften your gaze, maybe draw your gaze down a little bit, or you can close your eyes completely. Just feeling your body in this shape that you chose, whatever that is. One of the biggest benefits of movement practice in general is this idea that we can get in touch with and have a deeper understanding of ourselves through embodiment. And part of how we can do that is by disrupting the normal patterns. Like, what if we tried a different way? How does that feel? Just noticing. And a little bit of inspiration, a quote for class today is by Thich Nhat Hanh, and goes something like this: print peace and serenity on the earth. Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet. Walk as though you are kissing the earth with your feet. So may we, as we move through this practice, think not only of kissing the earth with our feet, but with anything that comes into contact. Maybe not even just the earth, maybe all of our surroundings, the air. How do we walk through life? How do we move through life as though we're kissing the earth, kissing the sky? And from where you are, I invite you to open your eyes if they've been closed. Just coming back into your body, in the space that you're in the position that you're in. And then in the position that you're in, just start to rock from side to side.
And allow your body to kind of move along with it. All right, you might feel one sitting bone lift and then the other. All right, I'm trying not to make it a harsh movement, but more of kind of like a fluid movement. And then I invite you to start kind of sliding your legs and your body parts along the floor, and maybe you kind of slide your hips around if there's a slidable surface. Just noticing the contact and the ability to move at the joints and kind of move around your space. Again, a little exploration of what the movement capacities are here. What does it feel like to move in this way? Okay. And now, having felt that kind of intuitive movement, let's come into a movement pattern together. So do come into this wide V-legged position. And what we'll do is tuck the right leg in front and the left leg in back, and just turn to one side. And then come back through center and come into a V. And then tuck left leg in front, right leg in back, and you'll turn to the other side. And a few more times at your own pace, just going back and forth. Noting how that feels, how it wakes up your body, your contact with the earth. Getting curious. Where do you feel the weight transfer? What is the rotation that happens within the hip joint? Right. Now come back to the V shape. We'll add one more piece to this. So from the V shape, this next piece will be slide your feet in. So they're about hip width. With your hands behind you, lift your hips up. And then it'll be hips down, slide into a V and tuck to one side. And then V, slide feet in, hips up. And hips down, V, and tuck to the other side. And V, feet in, hips up, hips down, V, and other side. And just go back and forth a few times like that, adding a little bit of complexity here. I'm doing an even amount on both sides, as best you can tell anyway. And then when you're done with that, come back into more of a spontaneous movement, and you'll take it all the way up to standing. So you might even lie down all the way, rock and roll, and just kind of exploring your contact with the floor, and eventually maybe lifting hips off the floor. For the next minute or so, just explore spontaneous movement coming up to a standing position. Exploring relationship to gravity, movement through the air, contact with the earth. It's like you're kissing the surfaces that you come into contact with. Feel where your body is drawn to move. Just allowing yourself to move that way.
Nicely done, everyone. Yeah. That looks good. Okay. Now from your standing position, make your way into more of a standing in stillness, like a Tadasana shape, a mountain pose shape, feet about hip width distance apart, standing tall. And we'll start to come into some different movement patterns from a standing position. So we'll start with rotating all of our joints. Think of rotations and start to just with your ankles. So start with one ankle, rolling up and around in circles, rotations. And then rotate in the other way. And then come to the other ankle and you'll think rotations, circles, rotations. And then rotations in the other direction. That's it. Good. And then you might bring your feet, your knees a little closer together and explore some rotations through your knees. Knees rotate a little bit. I would just think of like tracing a circle with your knees in one direction and then in the other direction. Just a little bit of rotation there. And then standing tall, you can start with this on the floor. Keep your left knee slightly bent and you'll just do circles with your hips by tracing a little circle on the floor. If you feel stable there, you can start to lift it up and do circles with your hip up and around. Just knowing that up in the air or tracing on the floor is perfectly fine. And you can switch between the two even. You might switch directions. Oh, isn't that interesting? Oh. That one's harder for me. You might find that one direction is harder for you too. Okay, and coming to the other side, start making circles on the floor. And then if you feel comfortable, if you feel stable, then the invitation is to start to lift that leg up and make circles at the hip with the leg lifted. Just testing out balance, thinking of being kind of playful with it. Doesn't matter if you fall or and you can always come back down to the floor, and for a few rounds, try switching directions. Tends to be a little bit harder. Certainly harder for me. Okay, and then begin to finish with that. And this one, decidedly quite a bit easier. Just start to make big circles with your pelvis. Tracing big circles. Just moving the pelvis, rotating at the joints, and then find a rotation in the other direction. Now, imagine that you have this motion coming up higher. We can actually find this a similar rotation just at the rib cage. So holding your pelvis stable in place, think of creating a little circle just with your ribs, just as much as you can express right now. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't even need to make sense at this point in time. Am I doing it? Just try. Be curious. And then move directions. Finding the circular motion through your rib cage. It can be fast or slow. All right. Now, coming up higher, let's start to express some
kind of spiraling motions with your shoulders, and we'll just kind of play around with both of them to start with, and then we'll put it into a pattern. But we have the ability to just rotate by turning the arm in and out. We can also make circles with the arms, the elbows bent. We have, the shoulder joints that do have the rotational capacity, but we also have the rest of the arm attached to it. Okay, and now let's start to just roll the shoulders with the arms hanging in one direction. You can start forward to back or back to front. We'll switch directions. And then do switch directions. And from here, we'll switch directions again, but bring your fingertips to your shoulders. Taking more of your arms with you. Now with elbows bent. Just feeling the difference there. And then switch directions with elbows bent. And taking your arms along with the rotation. And again, switch directions, this time with straight arms. Take your arms with you. And then switch directions. All right, and we're gonna, for the moment, skip the elbows because they're hinge joints, they don't rotate. The forearms do some interesting things, but you'll get that with the wrists anyway. So start to rotate in your wrists. You can do it spontaneously, maybe starting by rolling them in the same direction. And then you can explore rolling them in different directions with different timings. What do rotations at the wrist look like? I mean, play around so much, get so playful, maybe even that you confuse yourself. Like, oh, what's happening here? What's happening there? Like, I can't describe what's happening anymore. Like, wow, okay. I'm exploring rotations, but I'd have to look at a slow motion video of it to describe exactly what's happening, right? Ooh. And then let that go, and then just start to create little circles with the top of your head. And feel it kind of cascade down through your body. You can imagine that your head becomes a felt marker, right, that extends all the way up to the ceiling. And you can trace a circle on the ceiling, maybe your favorite color. Notice what it's like to isolate it mainly in the head and neck, and then to have it carry down into the upper back and the lower abdomen, and maybe even influence the legs and pelvis. You haven't explored a different direction, the other direction, do that now. What does it mean to isolate just head and neck? And then exploring how it might cascade down through your body, the spiral, the circle. Okay. And now letting that go, but keeping the inspiration of everything, I invite you to spontaneously think of spirals at the joints in your body. What would it look like to find lots of little rotations through all the areas of your body? Like, think of your body as comprised of lots of little spirals. What would that look like? And again, the invitation, just like what we were doing with the wrists, is to have these layers of different joints kind of move on top of each other, collapse on top of each other. Let it confuse you and kind of immerse you in this exploration. Maybe even move it around your room You can face the screen. You can turn away from the screen. You can allow your torso to twist as the legs stay stationary in one direction. Moving through your head, through your arms, through your wrists, through your ankles. Just exploring spirals, exploring rotations. Rotations. Noticing all of the rotational capacity that's available. Using inspiration from what we did earlier, as it makes sense. And just a few more moments of exploring rotations at the joints. And what that looks like, what that feels like. Your body is pure rotation. Okay, now, I'm going to take these spirals and we'll definitely come back to it, but now we're going to imagine that our bodies become waves. You're going to start the movement with just moving your tail. You're going to move it forward and back and let the wave ripple through your body. So notice how coming into this movement pattern, this feels more organized, right? It's moving in a singular direction. It's less about kind of moving circularly, it's moving and waving, rippling in a certain direction. So waving your tail. Also notice like the relationship between your head and tail, right? How much you move your head and tail, how do they play with one another? And then start to wave from side to side, front to back, and maybe even diagonally. But just noticing the snake of your spine and the relationship of your tail and your head. Waving, moving through the snake of your spine. Waving, initiating movement with your tail, with your pelvis, and allowing it to ripple and move up into your head and neck. So in exploring these waves, now I invite you to allow the waves to move into other areas of your body. All right, so you might start by expressing, allowing the wave to come into your arms. And then maybe you'll express wave down into your legs. And how is your whole body expressed as this kind of wave-like motion? Which might even mean that you don't stay completely upright. Might come into a forward bend. Might bring you into a back bend. Might take you closer to the floor. It might bring you up. Just imagining almost as though there's a force outside of you that's initiating this wave-like movement through your body. Inspiring it. And carrying you from wave to wave. Just as it comes through your body. Allowing the impulse to come. Allowing it to happen. Allowing it to inspire movement. And maybe even seeing your fingers as waves. If you haven't explored that yet, like, what if the impulse comes all the way from the tips of your fingers? What would the waves look like then? Would it be different? Would it be the same in some ways? A few more moments here. Now, keeping with this kind of wave-like motion, now make it really small, really delicate. It's very, very small. Just like the impulse is there, but it's not taking you, more like now you're taking the wave-like motion inside. Like a pleasant kind of tickle, like just kind of like tickling inside, this kind of whoosh movement through you. And taking it inside, now allow your body to be delicate, but you can increase the movement a little bit. Allow the kind of impulse of the wave from deep inside come to the surfaces of your skin. Allow the surfaces of your skin to be really delicate. Feel them moving through air. So really, like, your skin is the impulse to create the waves. It's almost as though you want to brush your skin across the air. You want to feel all of the particles. You can move this through space, but just notice the difference by keeping it delicate, but still moving quite a bit through space. Just pressing through light air particles and feeling it on the surface of your skin. And maybe even bring in the image of some pleasant warmth from sunlight coming onto your skin and kind of moving through the sunlight. So you kind of move through the air. Allow the sunlight to touch your skin, this kind of delicate. I'm going to move through space. Feel the surface of my skin. You can move it around your space. Just explore the difference in texture here for a moment longer. And to keep it light, with the spirit of lightness, you might even, bring the lightness into your face and curl the corners of your mouth up into a little smile. And notice if that even changes the quality of the movement itself. What does it feel like to smile a little bit, even if you're faking it? What would that feel like? All right, so this is already much lighter texture than the waves that were coming from outside of you, but see if you can make it even lighter, almost like you're a hot air balloon. What would that feel like? You might even come onto the tips of your toes, like you're floating away. So making yourself as light as possible, like you're almost negating gravity. It's like you could float away any moment. Whew, so light. Imagine a lot of the hot air in your head. It's like moving up and away. Moving away from the direction of gravity. Being drawn up. So light. Now, we'll explore momentarily the opposite of that. What would happen if you really felt gravity? So feel gravity, right? And feel how it kind of pulls on the bones of your body. What might you move like if gravity is really acting on your arms and legs, your torso, your whole body, your whole system? What if gravity is really acting and the air is also really thick? Right, I'm gonna have to kind of like push through. Notice the muscular engagement needed. Is it different than when we were feeling really light, really heavy? So imagine, whew, we're really heavy now. What does that feel like? And even move this around the space. It's like you're pushing your body through the space. And maybe with this kind of thicker texture now, expressing waves and spirals, your choice. We'll just get thicker for one more count of 5. So just get as thick as possible, moving through space for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. And then just like you just shake that off and bounce. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Bounce at your knees. And allow your arms to be like really, well-cooked spaghetti noodles. Just like blah, 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 hanging, bouncing along with you. You can stay with this for a little while, or this could come into a skip. You can take it around the space. Just a little skip. First, just allowing yourself to feel how your body wants to move along with this skip. Maybe skipping forward, skipping back, skipping around. Allowing the information from the skipping motion to inspire perhaps an expansion of this movement. So from the skipping, bring it into your own kind of dance and groove, like how much you keep that element of bounce of the skipping and move through space, exploring maybe some fluid movements, some waves, some rotations, spirals. Now kind of combining all of those movements, but with the inspiration of that springiness of the hop. You might, you lose the sense of the skip, you can come back into it and come out of it. Just for another moment. Whew. Right. And when it feels like a good time, allow that to settle. And come back to a standing position. And then I'd like you to start to feel a shake come through your legs, your feet, your legs, your knees. Almost like in your thighs, there's the impulse of a little shake. And just starting to move through your legs, feeling it translate into your feet, maybe lifting your heels. Even move your feet on the floor, like a really fast tap dance. Just notice what it's like to keep your bodies kind of still and stationary, and just feel your legs kind of chaotic, spontaneous, fast movement. Exploring a shake, a really strange tap dance. Move it around your space, perhaps. Exploring a shake. It's kind of angular, fast movements between a few different directions. And then allow the shake to kind of overcome you and start to come up into your torso, your belly and your torso. Inspired by legs, but coming all the way up into your torso. And then becomes, you're so overcome with it, it comes into your arms. It starts to come all the way down to your fingertips. And still moving around through space like a tap dance, but letting it come all the way up through your body in waves. It's kind of shake-like motion. Smaller movements. And allow your head and neck to be carried along with it. And see if, to the degree that's safe for your head and neck, how might your head and neck also express this spirit of kind of shake, this kind of shiver through your body, like a shiver. Almost like a pleasurable shiver though, like a shiver. It's like energetic quality through your body, like a gust of wind. And explore that for a few more moments. Just moving through space, feeling from your feet all the way to the crown of your head, this kind of just buzzing energy through your body, gust of wind. Okay.
And begin to feel it settle. It's smaller and smaller and smaller until it's pretty much imperceptible. Noticing the echo. That's still, that buzz is still happening. And really it is always happening. But we can stand still with the chaos happening within. Okay. Now do grab your yoga mats and roll them out. Yeah. You kind of bring this into perhaps a movement pattern that you're maybe more familiar with or is more organized in general. We'll take this into some sun salutation orientations and then go from there. So stand and face the short edge of your mat. Bring your feet hip width distance apart or all the way together, your choice. And we'll do a couple sun salutation A. Inhale, lift your arms up over your head, reach up. Exhale, fold down over your legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, plant your palms and step back to plank. Stabilize here, slide your shoulder blades down your back. Inhale, shift your shoulders forward slightly further. Exhale, lower down, Chaturanga. Inhale, point your feet, come up, Cobra. And then exhale to downward facing dog. And noticing this shape here. Also, kind of getting a sense of your availability for movement, even in this shape. Like, even in holding the shape, can you feel curves and spirals? Like the initiation of that in your body. And could that help you to relax in the areas that maybe don't need to be working so hard to hold this shape? How can you be available for movement even in stillness? One more inhale. On your exhale, bend your knees, walk or hop forward. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold down over your legs. Inhale, rise all the way up and reach up. And exhale, lower your arms down by your side, stand tall. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach up. On your exhale, fold down over your legs. Inhale, come up partway. Exhale, step or hop back and lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra this time. And exhale to downward facing dog. And again, we'll take a few breaths. And if it's helpful, in order to not grip in your muscles, to move a little bit through your knees, through your spine, you might explore just moving a little bit spontaneously, exploring some waves through your spine, some bending of your knees, in order to reconnect with the availability of movement and then try to keep it as you come into stillness again. And inhale once more here. On your exhale, bend your knees, walk or hop forward. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, fold down over your legs. Inhale, rise all the way up, reach up. Exhale, lower your arms down by your sides and stand tall. We'll do one more like that. Inhale, lift your arms up. And exhale, fold down over your legs. Uttanasana. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step or hop back, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, the downward facing dog. Again, your choice. If you notice that maybe your jaw is gripping, your shoulders are gripping,
Even your abdominal muscles are gripping, right? The invitation is to come into a little bit of movement, your spine, your head, your neck, through your legs. Noting that you can hold the position even with all of this moving, right? And maybe it'll give you some insight into which muscles actually need to be working to hold this shape. Then you can come back into more relative stillness. And try to keep those areas of your body that you were just moving more relaxed. Engaging the muscles that need to be engaged, but finding just the right amount of engagement with the muscles that don't need to work so hard. One more inhale. On your exhale, bend your knees, walk or hop forward. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold down over your legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise all the way up, reach up. And exhale, lower your arms all the way down by your sides. Okay, one lunging salutation, inhale, reach up, stretch up. On your exhale, fold down over your legs. Your next inhale, lengthen your spine, stretch your left leg back. Come into a lunge, lower your left knee and point your left foot. Come up into Anjaneyasana. Exhale here. Inhale, reach up to your chest and arms. Exhale, plant your palms and step back to plank. And lower down Chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. And downward facing dog. Couple breaths here, so not long. Also noting that from here forward, we'll do the other side of lunging salutation and a round of sun salutation B. If you want to skip Chaturangas at any point in time, you certainly can. Inhale, lift your left leg up toward the ceiling. Exhale, place your left foot forward, lower your right knee, point your right foot, come up into Anjaneyasana, low lunge. Exhale, sink a little deeper into your legs. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, step forward this time. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold down over your legs, Uttanasana. And inhale, stand all the way up, reach up. Okay. Exhale, lower your arms down by your sides, and we'll get the second side. Inhale, lift your arms up, reach up. On your exhale, fold down over your legs. Inhale, lengthen your spine, stretch your right leg back. And then lower your right knee, top of your right foot, and lift your torso up, coming into Anjaneyasana. Pause for a breath here. Inhale, reach up to your sternum, to your fingertips. And exhale, step back plank. Invitation to go straight to down dog or vinyasa, Chaturanga. Upward facing dog or cobra. And downward facing dog. And again, available for movement, yet in stillness. Take another breath. Inhale, lift your right leg up toward the ceiling. Exhale, place your right foot forward, lower your left knee, point your left foot, come up into Anjaneyasana, right leg forward. Exhale, pause here. Inhale, lift up to your chest and through your fingertips. And exhale, bring your hands down and step forward. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold down over your legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, rise all the way up. Reach up. Exhale, lower your arms down by your sides and stand tall. Surya Namaskara B, bend your knees, reach your arms up. Your legs and feet are together. Great, hug your legs together. If your feet are hip width distance apart, peek down, make sure your knees are pointing directly over your toes and not dipping in. And then sit a little bit deeper. And keep on reaching up. And one more time, sit a little deeper. And keep reaching up to your chest and arms. And straighten your legs and fold. Exhale. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, step or hop back, lower down Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up toward the ceiling. Exhale, place your right foot all the way up between your hands. Spin your left heel and down at a 45-degree angle and come up into warrior one. We'll pause here for a breath. Exhale, root down through your legs. On your inhale, pause, maybe even look up and join your palms if that feels okay. Then exhale, step back and lower down, Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg up toward the ceiling. Exhale, place your left foot forward, spin your right heel and down and rise up into warrior one on the second side. On your exhale, ground down through your legs. As you reach up, you can even draw your gaze up and join your palms if that feels supportive. And exhale, step back and lower down, Chaturanga. And upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale deeply here. And exhale completely. And again, notice where you're gripping, or if you're gripping. And you release the gripping and just find muscular engagement where you need it. And certainly muscular engagement in your arms, maybe a little bit in your abdomen, some in your quadriceps, the muscles along the fronts of your shins, your pretibial muscles. You find some engagement there and release gripping, say, in your jaw, in your neck. One more inhale. On your exhale, bend your knees and walk or hop forward. Inhale, come up partway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold down over your legs, Uttanasana. And bend your knees and come up, Utkatasana. And exhale, stand. Lower your arms down by your sides. So if you would like blocks for this next piece, we're doing some standing poses. Now's the time to grab them. We'll face the long edges of our mats. Place your blocks about wrist distance apart if your arms were stretched out to the side. So about that wide at the back edge of your mat. And then step into the center of your mat. We'll just do a couple of standing poses in a different plane with the body. So first option we'll do together, step your feet wide and bring your arms out to the sides. Now your ankles should be about wrist distance apart if your arms are stretched out to the side. And then step back in with your feet and legs together. That's option one, and you can step out and in the whole time. Option two is hop out and hop in. So bend your knees, step or hop wide, bring your arms out. Good. Bend your knees, step or hop back in. Good. Okay. Fantastic. That looks great. Now, we'll come into some poses. Bend your knees, step or hop wide. Turn your right toes out about 90 degrees. Check to make sure that your left toes are pointing straight forward. Bend your right knee. And this is, we'll come into warrior two and through a couple other different shapes from this position. So in warrior two, feel the strength of your legs and how they kind of hold this static shape. And for a moment, while you hold this position, I'd like you to explore how your arms and your torso can move through space, even as you're holding the position. Right? What is available for movement here? And even holding the foundation of the shape. It can be just a little movement, or it can be a lot. Awesome. And then bring your upper body back into warrior two shape. And we'll do a more organized movement here with that same principle, that same idea. So legs in this shape, tip your torso over your back leg, your left leg, come into reverse warrior. Inhale, come up through center. Exhale, side angle pose, either forearm to thigh or down to a block or the floor. Stretch your left arm close to your face. And then we'll juxtapose the two, come up through warrior two and reverse warrior. Keeping your legs strong. And through warrior two, and side angle position. Just one more time, each of those. Inhale, warrior two, exhale, side angle. Inhale, warrior two, and exhale, Parsva Konasana. Inhale, come up through warrior two, and then straighten your right leg. Turn your right toes forward, and we'll go to the second side. Coming back through center. Turn your left toes out about 90 degrees. Make sure that your right toes are pointing straight forward. And then bend your left knee coming into warrior two position, Virabhadrasana two. There we go. Just feeling the strength of the muscles of your legs holding this position. What is needed to hold this shape in your legs. And then also allow your torso and your arms to move a little bit. What actually needs to be engaged to hold the foundation of this shape? I'm just getting a lot of clarity about which muscles actually need to be working in this shape, right? Then come back into the upper body position for warrior two. Noting you can have some more ease and an easy lift through your torso, but you do need some muscular engagement to hold your arms up, right? So noticing that, like, yeah, okay, cool. And we'll come through that same motion from reverse warrior to Parsva Konasana. Inhale here, exhale, reverse warrior. Back over your right leg, and then come up through center and exhale over your left leg, forearm to thigh or to a block or to the floor. Stretch your right arm close to your face. And then back and forth up through warrior two, exhale, reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior two, exhale, Parsva Konasana. Inhale, warrior two, and reverse warrior. And inhale, warrior two, exhale, Parsva Konasana. And then come back up, straighten your left leg, turn your left toes forward, and you'll step or hop your feet back in. Stand tall, Tadasana. Okay, one more exploration here. And for this one, what I'd like you to do is place one block kind of like to the edges, to the short edges of your mat, because you might be using them underneath your hands. It's also a combination. Good. And so then stand tall at the center of your mat. Step or hop your feet wide, like we've been doing. And then bring your feet just a tiny bit more narrow, like a fraction of an inch on both sides. You're coming into Parsvottanasana for this next piece. So you can either clasp opposite elbows behind your back, or if you know it, you can bring your hands together in prayer behind your back, Paschima Namaskar. Either way, clasping elbows looks like this. And then if you know the reverse prayer, just do it. Turn your left toes in really strongly and turn your right toes out 90 degrees. And then turn your hips and torso to face your right leg. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, bring your torso down until it's about parallel to the floor. You should already feel a good stretch in the back of your right leg. If this feels manageable and your belly's close to your right thigh, you can round just your upper back to bring your face down toward your shin. And closing the gap somewhat. Couple more breaths here, keeping muscles of your legs really stable. And bring your torso up until it's parallel to the floor. And then from here, just simply bring your fingertips down to the sides of your foot. There, if you need a little bend in your right knee in order to do that, please do give yourself permission to do that. So the first shape here is Parivritta Trikonasana. So take your block and place it to the pinky edge of your right foot, and then take your left hand and place it on your block. Then place your left hand on your left hip and turn your torso, sorry, your right hand on your right hip and turn your torso to your right. And then stretch your right arm up. Maybe even look up. Last breath here. Then slowly bring your right hand down. Bend your right knee. And you can even walk your block out in front of you. The last piece with this sequence is standing split. So you'll bring your weight onto your right foot and lift your left leg up. Maybe start with it parallel to the floor. If you're still feeling good here with hands on the block, you might move the block out of the way, bring fingertips down. Next stage here, you can walk your hands back so that they're more beside your right foot. Then kind of like Parsvottanasana, you could round your upper back and draw your face in toward your shin as you kick your left heel up higher. Some form of standing split. And walk your hands forward if you walk them back. Bend your right knee and guide the ball of your left foot back down. So lunge. Spin your left heel and down. We'll come up through warrior two and then come up warrior two. Straighten your right leg and turn your right toes forward. Bring your feet a little bit closer together and we'll go to the second side. Either clasp opposite elbows behind your back, or you'll come into a reverse prayer, Paschimma Namaskar. Turn your right toes in really strongly. Turn your left toes out about 90 degrees. Turn your hips and torso to face your left leg. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, bring your torso down until it's parallel to the floor. And pause here. Now, if your abdomen is close to your left thigh, if it would be nice to come a little further down and get a deeper stretch, round from your upper back to draw your face toward your shin. Your legs strong. And keep breathing. And bring your torso back up until it's parallel to the floor. Release the clasp behind your back and bring your fingertips down to either side of the front foot, allowing the front knee to bend if it needs to, a little bit. And take your block, place it to the outer edge of your left foot, and then place your right hand on the block. Take your left hand to your hip, and then start to turn your chest, your torso to your left. And stretch your left arm up. Parivrtta Trikonasana. A few more breaths here. Breathing, being. Okay, bring your left hand back down. Move your block forward. And then start to shift your weight onto the left foot. You're going to start with your hands on your block. Lift your right leg up. Standing split, stage one, hands on block. That feels totally manageable. If you bring your fingertips down to the floor. That feels manageable there. You'll start to walk your hands back to the sides of your foot. Maybe even kick your right foot up. A little higher. Standing split. And walk your hands forward. Bend your left knee. Guide the ball of your right foot down, coming into a lunge. And again, we'll come up into warrior two. Spin your right heel in and down and lift up. Straighten your left leg. Turn your left toes forward and step or hop your feet back in. Yay. Okay. Now, from here, leave your blocks where they are. You won't necessarily, actually, bring both of your blocks to the short edge of your mat that you're facing. So face the short edge of your mat. Bring your blocks just in front of you. So we will use them again for one more thing in a moment. Yeah, good. And now from here, I'll give you permission to decide how you get here, but we'll come into this stretch with one leg folded in front. So it's pigeon prep, Padaraja Kapotasana prep. It's this position of the front shin. You may need to use a prop or like to use a prop underneath your right hip. Okay, the blanket or a block underneath your right hip. And you decide the angle of the front leg. The more you have your front leg in a 90-degree angle, the deeper the stretch on the hip. Right, the more that you have your right heel coming back toward the front of your left hip, the less stretch you will feel, but you want to kind of find that balance of where feels right. And then fold down over your right shin once you are ready. Breathing, being. Just allowing yourself to feel the support of the earth beneath you. We've been spending some time in various types of movements, kissing the earth. Just kind of like a bowing down to the earth, and honoring. As you're ready, begin to lift your torso up. And you may come back down again, same stretch, or you can stay upright and do a quad stretch orientation. So you'd lift your left foot up, reach back and clasp your foot and hug it in. That might feel like not the right choice right now. It might feel perfect. We haven't gotten a lot into lengthening quadricep muscles on the front of the thigh. One more breath. And then slowly release, clasp there. And you'll switch sides, however you'd like. Bringing your left shin forward, stretching your right leg back. Choosing carefully which props you'd like to use, the angle of the front leg. And then fold down over your left shin when you're ready. We'll hang out here for a while. Settling in, breathing. One of the best strategies for any area of your body that feels really tight, especially the hips. It's getting into it and spending some time. Not forcing yourself to stay in a position if it doesn't feel, if it's no longer feeling beneficial, but just allowing your body to gradually open. Finding the just right amount of stretch and breathing into it. So we want to, even in the stretching, feel available to movement, for more of that kind of internal movement to happen, instead of feeling like it's gripping and holding. As you're ready, I invite you to lift your torso up, right? And again, you can come back down, or you can introduce a quad stretch, right? Lifting your lower right leg up, and bringing it in. Any degree you choose. Breathing, being. I'm trying to find what movement can happen here, what can release with each exhale. And then slowly release back legs and come into downward facing dog, everyone. Stretch it out. And then I'm going to leave this up to you. You might do that again, or you could do a standing split shape again. So what we're working up toward is a splitting shape, or you can come into regular Hanumanasana or splits, any degree. This is why we have the blocks here, is either for standing split, or you can bring your hands on the blocks for Hanumanasana. You could also bring a block underneath the front thigh for Hanumanasana. Hanumanasana, aka splits. Try the variation where you keep your hips facing forward, right? So not allowing the back hip to turn open too much. Part of how I work on that strategy is by keeping the back toes curled under. You can do that, or you don't have to. It's actually a little bit safer for the hip than the dancing form of splits. So breathing, being in some form of a splitting shape. And taking a couple more breaths there. And then slowly make your way to the second side. You choose the strategy, and doing so with control. And trusting your own body to give you the guidance as you come to the second side. What is the optimal strategy is what you should be asking yourself. As you come into the second side, perhaps noticing if you can have just a little bit muscular tone in your legs, even as you come into this shape, not completely succumbing to the hard surface beneath you, to gravity, allowing a little bit of engagement, a little bit of hugging to the bone, even as you come down into the depth of your stretch, which with really deep stretches like this, kind of extreme stretches like this, you might say, this is really important and beneficial. Just holding some form of a splitting shape, whether that be Hanumanasana or Urdhva Ekapadasana, standing split. Okay. And then make your way out of this side. Ooh. And then move blocks out of the way if you were using them. And find some creative way down to your back, right? So it might be you want to do some movement in cat and cow, or you want to come through downward facing dog in another vinyasa. What does your body need right now after that? What might feel good? You can turn around on your back or jump through. I'm very much interested these days in allowing choice, and allowing us all to make choices about how to move our bodies. I feel like that teaches us much more than having it be some specific way, some specific arbitrary way. So find your way onto your back. And then from here, place the soles of your feet on the floor and do some form of back bend, right? Whatever your body feels ready for. It might be a pulsing between lifting and lowering your hips, more dynamic bridge pose. It might be a held bridge pose. Or if you feel warmed up enough, maybe after a few warm-ups, you could come all the way up into Urdhva Dhanurasana. I'll leave it up to you. Allowing yourself to come through maybe some back bend shape. At the very least, just lifting and lowering your hips. Or maybe coming into a deeper shape to stretch out in that direction. Spend a couple more breaths if you're still up in some back bending shape. And lower down, lower your hips down to the floor. And stretch your legs and arms up. And then just start to lightly shake your arms and legs. Lightly shake your arms and legs. And keep shaking your legs, allow your arms to come down. You could let them flop, or you can just allow them to, you can carefully lower them, maybe depending on the surface beneath you. And then bring your legs down too. You can just bend at the knees and let them flop a little bit before you plop your feet down. Just feeling what it's like to shake your limbs and then come to stillness again. And then from this place, arrange your body in a really super comfortable position, maybe stretching your arms and legs out. You can also use props under your legs, under your spine, and come into a comfortable position for a little bit of rest. Or what in yoga is called Shavasana. And just again, feeling your body against the earth. You know, so seldom do we take time to integrate the work that we've done in any type of movement, modality, workout. So that's what this is all about. We are taking time to integrate the experience, to bring it into our bodies. Our bodies, our minds, some time to process what just happened. In life, we tend to rush from one thing to the next. And so it makes it more difficult in order to reap the benefits and to retain what we've just done, unless there's a pause. Unless there's some sort of punctuation. So may we spend a good amount of time have 10 minutes or so to just be here, to receive now, to download, knowing that the work is done. Open yourself up to the gifts. And from this receptive place, I invite you to perhaps connect with one intention. And this could be a broad intention, like a life intention, or it could be an intention for this part of practice, this resting practice. For this intention, maybe connect it to what is meaningful to you. What do you value? Could be something simple like, I want to be present for this practice. Or I want to show up with kindness in this particular relationship today. So what is one intention? And then before we move into moving through the body, I'm going to set up one resource for you, one place to go to that feels like a safe refuge. That if there's any place in your body that feels like you don't want to hang out there, you can always go back to this resource place or this resource thing. So today I'd like you to think of something outside of yourself. It could be a person, it could be a place, it could be an object. Something that feels really soothing and calming. Something that puts you at ease. A place in nature, a pet, even a sound, piece of music. Take a moment to identify that resource for yourself. And now we'll begin to move systematically through the body, knowing that at any point in time you can just hang out with that thing that's a resource, that place, person, animal. Start by noticing the hinges of your jaw, muscles in your lower jaw. Notice the inside of your mouth, your tongue and throat. And from deep inside your mouth, I invite you to become aware of your inner ears. And then move all the way out through middle ear to your outer ear. Your attention to the space behind your nose, your sinuses behind your nose, along your cheekbones. Draw awareness to the space around your eyes, behind your eyes. Draw your awareness into your forehead, and top of your head, and the back of your head, and the space where your head meets your neck. Now noticing sensation in your neck itself. Your neck and throat. Draw awareness down through your shoulders, upper arms, lower arms, your hands and fingers. Allow awareness to come back up to your upper back and chest. Feeling sensations carried down through the middle part and lower part of your torso, front and back. Noticing now the full column of your torso, sides, front and back. Even the boundaries, top and bottom. Feeling sensation arising in your whole torso. Draw awareness into your pelvic region and hips. Now noticing sensation of your upper legs, your knees, lower legs, feet and toes. And as though you are filling up from bottom to top, start to feel awareness from the tips of your toes come all the way up your legs, through your pelvis, through your torso, down through your arms, up through your neck, and up through your head and face. Feeling your whole body as a vibrant field of sensation. Just being here, feeling. And from this place of feeling your body, I invite you to, as we are coming to a close, connect with one thing that brings you happiness or joy. Might actually be connected to your intention. It might not. Could be something specific, maybe a gift you recently received, or a beautiful flower that you saw. One thing that brings you some joy or happiness. Feeling the cascade of that awareness of that thing as it moves through the field of sensation in your body. And keeping this awareness, staying in that place of joy or happiness. Open up to the sound of my voice and harmonium.
Reveals the truth.
And begin to deepen your breath. Start to feel awareness come back in little by little. Whenever you feel ready and in whatever manner you would like, very slowly make your way back up to a seated position. Join your palms together at the center of your chest. We'll end really simply by acknowledging our interconnection. It's chanting the seed mantra Om, and by offering peace to ourselves and to others. The chant is Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You can listen to me or you can join in with me. So inhale deeply to prepare. Exhale, empty out completely. And inhale for the chant. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much for joining me to move with our bodies, to explore kissing the earth through our movement. And thank you mostly for the gift of your company.